I'd rather be buying a coffee.
Welcome. My name is Julia Tenison, but you can call me Jules. Coffee, the elixir of life. Over 50% of the adults drink coffee daily. Men drink more coffee than women, and people over the age of 50 drink most of the coffee. You can order Americanos, you can order macchiatos, but still the favorite is a simple cup of joe. Harvard School of Public Health has recently released studies in 2015 saying that a coffee a day may be the next apple a day. All of this adds up to a $30 billion a year industry in the US and globally to $42 billion annually. In the US, independent coffee small shops account for 22% of the market share and $12 billion in annual sales. On a worldwide scale, 25 million small coffee producers rely on coffee for a living. Today, let's talk about coffee. Lori Brewer, she's a local coffee entrepreneur and the subject of a movie called Coffee Babes.
We found out that the Assembly was looking at legislation that would not allow the espresso bars to be temporary structures.
We'd had a complaint from a lot of community councils, a lot of residents about the
Please welcome Lori Brewer.
Shacks everywhere.
Hey, hi, it's great to see you. I'm having an off morning. I'm hoping I didn't have coffee this morning. That's my problem.
That is the problem.
Yes, it is. So, I met you a couple years ago and I did a movie with you called Coffee Babes.
Yes.
And you have a very fascinating life. I don't want to make that all about the show today, Coffee Babes, because there's so much more to you than just that moment. The coffee industry. What's the latest, greatest things that's going on?
The coffee industry continues to grow, as you were saying. It's last year, I believe it had about a 3% increase throughout the nation. It's actually about 86% of Americans are consuming coffee. So it is growing, and over half of the population is drinking gourmet coffee, which is, what my company promotes.
And your company, we'll get to a little more details on that one. Do you interact with other companies outside of Alaska, or are you more focused here in Alaska?
About 90% of my focus is here in Alaska. I do assist people with opening small coffee drive-thrus or stands in arenas in the lower 48 too. So I do a little bit of consulting in the lower 48. My crew and I fly out 2 or 3 times a year to coffee shows and meet with vendors and different people and get different ideas to bring back to Alaska.
Do you pay attention to the price of coffee as a commodity? You watch the stock market when you look at...
A little bit. It's what happens now in the stock market doesn't affect us for about a year or 6 months, depending on how the coffee's being bought. And there's sort of by the time it gets to me, it only affects it maybe a nickel a pound or something.
All right. Coffee, I need coffee. I see around town, I see a lot of stands that have opened up and then they're sitting dormant. Their doors are staying closed and I'm not seeing cars parked out front anymore. Have you noticed that at all?
I think, the coffee business, a lot of people think they can go into it and just make tons of money and not work it at all. And so some people go in with the wrong illusion. And it's just like any small business. It takes a ton of work, a ton of consistency, great employees, and super amount of passion for what you're doing. And if you don't apply that every day, and if you aren't open on time, if your crew has to be magnificent 100% of the time, not 99% of the time. And your drinks have to be that way when people are buying, a gourmet cup of coffee. And so I think the ones you see going out of business, most of the time, just weren't really prepared to own their own business. People are still continuing to open coffee shops. I've just helped open one that I'm partnering with on Diamond that's doing amazing already.
I want to get into that later. Yeah.
Yes, so it is still growing and there's still opportunity.
Great. The prices of coffee, I know that people, when they talk about coffee, I've seen movies and I've seen TV shows where people are making fun of how much coffee is. Is coffee really that expensive?
Well, I think, obviously the American public doesn't think so. And comparing it to what we would spend on, lunches or people having a beer or something, it's very inexpensive. And for $3 or $4, the amount of energy it creates, the amount of confidence, spoiling yourself and starting your day off wonderfully, I I actually think it's probably one of the cheapest indulgences that we can find.
Yeah, but when you're talking about spending, and I saw an average of about $1.38 a cup is about what it's running, and you can purchase a cup of coffee for what, about $4?
Yeah, $3 to $4, yes.
Yeah, so there's a choice there, but a cup of coffee, you can go to a sit-down restaurant and pay about $1.50 now for just a regular cup of coffee in a sit-down restaurant. So what a drive-through really isn't that much more then, is it?
No, it really isn't, and you're getting that great service quickly as you're, driving up, and, our baristas, they see your car and you pull up to the window and they have it ready to go for you.
Great, oh wonderful. I'm looking forward to hearing Lori talk some more when we come back from the break.
Send him a note saying I'm working on this story. I'd like to get a broader audience. What are your ideas? And see if they respond.
This is Electric Religion. I'm your host, DJ Busy Kitty. Thank you for tuning in.